On July the 4th, we had several different banks in the Wichita area whose ATMs were compromised by skimmers. We know that three in the last, from July 4th to July the 9th, that there was three different banks, Sunflower Bank, Interest Bank, and Fidelity Bank, were affected with ATM skimmers. We know that the skimmers have, we believe the skimmers have already left the area. We know that there's several people that have been affected by the skimmers. At this point, we're asking, we'll have some photos here in a little bit of some possible suspects that we know were involved in this. And we're going to ask the public if they recognize or see any of those individuals. Right now, we're working with the three different banks that are affected to find out and identify all the victims and the loss at this point.
Do you believe any of these are tied together, these three incidents here in Wichita, and then there's been some in Salina and Kansas City? Can you talk into
Yeah, that's, we do believe that the incidents here in Wichita are related to the ones in Salina and possibly in the Kansas City area as well. We're currently working with law enforcement in Kansas City as well as in Salina to compare what they have in their investigation so far and what we have.
Is it fair to assume that the people that are responsible for this may not live here in Wichita?
Yeah, we believe that they are an organization or a group of individuals who are actually traveling and moving through the Midwest currently.
What's it going to take to catch these guys?
We're going to need help, obviously, from the public, but also we're going to, as law enforcement, we're going to have to work with a bunch of different law enforcement agencies, both federal and local, to put all our resources together, and then that's how we're going to catch them.
So what has been, so they come in, they put these on, they stay for a day or two, and then they leave. Is that kind of what has been the experience?
From what we're seeing, as they're coming in, they're putting them in early in the morning, and they're taking them off late at night, and then they're out of the area.
And that makes it difficult, I would assume, too.
Right, because a lot of the people who are finding out the transactions now or that they have fraudulent charges on their account, it's 7 days later from the time in which the cards were compromised. So they're getting the cards, and then it's a week later they're finding out, hey, I have all these charges on my account.
So can you put in, is there any number out there right now as to how many victims we are talking about right now? Or?
Right now we're working with the banks to find out how many victims they do have and what their loss is. So right now it's a little early because this information will continue to trickle in as the different victims are starting to notice it on their checking accounts. So what I would suggest is anybody is to go online, check their accounts for unusual charges, transactions at ATMs, especially ATMs that are not here in the area. Especially in states such as like Oklahoma and New Mexico and Texas.
Do they just gather the account number and then use that elsewhere?
How that works is they put on a device on where this card is read. They then usually have a camera to catch where the PIN number as you're inputting the information. And so throughout the day it's recording all this information, and then they take the notes of the account numbers because your magnetic strip on your debit card has the account number. So they're capturing that information, and then they're watching you key it in. So they're getting the PIN number that way. So what we would tell the citizens, how can you protect yourself? When you're going up to the ATM, look to make sure that there's nothing been tampered with, everything's still securely attached. If you're having any problems reading your card in and out of the machine, notify the bank immediately. Sometimes when they're putting stuff on the ATM, it doesn't match color-wise with all the other parts on there. It might be off a shade. Okay, that's one thing to look at. Look for unusual holes that are in the machine. When you're inputting your PIN number, cover your hand when you're putting in your PIN number so they can't read it. If you put your hand at a 45-degree angle, the camera could be at a shallow enough angle that they can still catch it. Make numerous movements over the keypad. So that way you know you're not just putting in your 1, 2, 3, 4 as your PIN. Hit the button several different times, or at least simulate like you are, And that's another way that could probably, that would help in keeping you, preventing you from being a victim.